Today's video, I am going to talk to you about the two cornerstones to great copywriting, the dynamic duo of copywriting, as I like to call them, and that is empathy and credibility. Honestly, without these two things, it is so hard to persuade a reader to click a button, to work with you, to buy your product, to buy your service. It is almost impossible. All the sales psychology in the world, all the persuasion principles, will not work unless you have empathy and credibility within your writing. And in fact, a lot of the sales psychology principles actually build on creating either empathy or credibility. So it is all part of the same package. But whenever you want to write anything, whenever you sit down to write, whatever you write, maybe if you're reading something back, I want you to read it from the perspective of, is this building either empathy with my reader or is it building credibility for me with my reader? So there are a few ways to go about doing this. Let's start with empathy. The best way to show empathy in your copy or in your words, much as it is in real life, is to show the person you are talking to or the person who is reading your work that you get them, that you understand where they are coming from. You are empathetic to their challenges, to their desires, to their fears. And the way to do that is to understand them by talking to them and by listening. Every time you are talking to your clients, you should be listening to the words and phrases they are using to describe the problem, the frustration, the desires, the outcomes they want. Always listening and doing your own research, your voice of customer research. I talk about voice of customer research time and time again. It is so, so important. Interview your clients, go on Reddit, go in Facebook groups, do all the things to understand what it is that's going on in their head and put it in your writing. That is how you build empathy. They need to feel seen, they need to feel heard, they need to understand that you get where they are. So empathy is so, so, so important. Whenever you write, am I building empathy? Does this show the reader that I understand what is going on in their head? The second part, of course, is credibility. It's all very well showing your reader that you understand them, but if they don't trust you, if they don't think you've got the expertise to solve the problem, there's going to be a huge blocker. So that's why these two work as a dynamic duo. They work together. One without the other is nowhere near as powerful. Credibility is great, but without empathy, you're just tooting your own horn. And empathy is great, but without credibility, no one can trust that you are the person that can solve their problem. So the way to build credibility, as we know, is social proof. So it's the testimonials, it's the statistics that back up your arguments, it's your credentials, it's your qualifications, it's your awards, anything you've got that shows that you have knowledge in order to get your reader away from the problem they are facing right now. A good way to build credibility, other than talking about your kind of credentials and your testimonials, is to be really consistent. So a problem I see quite often is that people don't have that consistent brand messaging, or they don't want to keep repeating themselves, especially over websites. They don't want to keep using the same kind of words and phrases. But it's so important to do that, because without the consistency, you do not build familiarity. And without familiarity, there is no trust and there's no credibility. So really being consistent in how you talk, in the things you say, in how you describe what you do, your offers, that really helps build that credibility as well. So just to recap, without empathy and credibility working together in your writing, it is very, very, very difficult to persuade or encourage a reader to click the button, whether it's to download a checklist or whether it's to buy a huge kind of high ticket offer. You need to have credibility and you need to have empathy. The way to build those are by listening and speaking to your audience and reflecting what's in their head on your words. That builds empathy. And by being consistent in your messaging and making sure you include social proof in your copy, and that builds credibility.